What's up, man? I'm coming with y'all with this video. There's a lot of people up in arms about Julius Erving leaving LeBron James off of his all-time teams. He made two all-time teams, first and second all-time teams. Y'all can go look it up and see the players that he picked on both team on either teams. But the first thing Julius Erving said was these are the teams that that he liked. So it wasn't that he was picking the all-time greatest center of all times, the all-time power forward, or shooting guard, power forward, or small forward. He said this is his team. So when a person, it doesn't matter who it is. When a person say this is their team, who they prefer, usually when they pick their team, they're gonna pick the players on their team who they like. You know what I'm saying? Like my first team will be Magic at point. Shooting guard would be Jordan. Small forward would be Larry. And then power forward and center, I kind of vary sometimes. Like in my generation, I will pick Tim Duncan as my power forward, but he's not the best power. But yeah, you could say you could say he's the best power forward of all times. I mean, you could say Tim Duncan is, but some people will have somebody else as the best power forward of all time. So I would say either Tim Duncan or Kevin Garnett is my power forward, and my center kind of varies too. Sometimes I like Shaq, sometimes I like Hakeem Olajuwon. So if I pick Tim Duncan as my power forward, I wouldn't pick Hakeem Olajuwon as my center. I go ahead and pick Shaquille O'Neal, because I think Shaquille O'Neal is different between Tim Duncan and Hakeem Olajuwon. Tim Duncan and Hakeem Olajuwon can bring me just about the same type of style of basketball. You know what I'm saying? So I want me a power guy in there like a Shaquille O'Neal. But if I'm saying and most of those guys I picked are the best at their position. You know what I'm saying? Arguably, you can say Larry Bird and Larry Bird and possibly LeBron James a small forward. You probably throw another small forward in there like a Julius Erving. But yeah, that was his team. You know what I'm saying? So to say he left LeBron James off, so he left LeBron James off his team. That's his team. You know what I'm saying? A lot of y'all younger players will probably leave a lot of players off from my generation. So that's your preferred team. Now, if you're gonna start saying all times and you're gonna leave people like a LeBron James probably off your list, or a Michael Jordan, or a Larry Bird, or a Magic Johnson, then that's not a credible list, because you saying all times. You're not saying your preferred starting five. You saying all times. When you say all times, and you have to do your due diligence. Like, you can't say, it's not enough to say, well, I didn't live in that era. No, you got to go back, because you got Google. You got the best search engine in history of the mankind, and you can go back and look at people's careers. You can look at what they did in their era. You can look at how they match up against guys in other eras. You know what I'm saying? And then you can make your assessment from there. But if you just gonna say, well, I didn't live in that era, then I can't take your list as credible. But yeah, and LeBron James did not, and then see, the second part that Julius Erving said was the reason why he left LeBron James off. It's because he said LeBron James generated the super teams. That's not true. That's not true, because Doc, Moses Malone joined the Sixers. Y'all had you, and then Moses Malone came over. You know what I'm saying? And y'all had Bobby Jones on that team. Y'all had some other great players on that team. Kareem was with Milwaukee, and I believe Oscar Robertson joined him in Milwaukee. To me, usually, in my definition of a super team, it has to be 3 perennial all-stars, and at least each one of those guys have to be top 5 in their position. At least top 5. Okay, you could say top 10. You could stretch it and say top 10. You know what I'm saying? So, and then when you want to go to the Boston Celtics, we all know they had Sam Jones, John Havlicek, Bill Russell, Bob Cousy. All of them was on the same team. You know what I'm saying? On the team at the same time. You had, if you want to go to the 80s, we know the Lakers were stacked. They had Bob McAdoo, a former league MVP, scoring title. They had now Magic Johnson was drafted there. Worthy was drafted there. Kareem was traded there, but Kareem was there. It still was a super team, but I'm trying to tell you how it was formed. Kareem was with the Lakers 6 years, 5 or 6 years, even before Magic got drafted. So he was there before Magic got drafted, and Magic was drafted. Then later, you know, they added Jamal Wilkes, they added Bob McAdoo, then they drafted my guy James Worthy. Then you want to go to Boston. Larry Bird was at Boston his rookie year. He didn't have Kevin McHale, or he didn't have Robert Parrish, and my guy that passed away, the point guard that passed away, I forget his name. Y'all say it in the comment section if y'all remember. I forget his name. I might remember while I'm talking, but Larry Bird was there as a rookie by himself. And I believe as a rookie, the Boston Celtics went from winning, 30 games to 61 or something like that. And then later, they added Kevin McHale, Robert Parrish, the point guard, Dennis Johnson, who passed away. And Dennis Johnson had won a championship with the Seattle Supersonics back before he got with Boston. So that was a super team. Detroit was not a super team. Isaiah Thomas was the only perennial All-Star on that team. I know Bill Laimbeer went to a couple All-Star games. I believe Joe Dumars went to a couple. But perennial means constantly going to the All-Star game year after year. And that was Isaiah Thomas. Then they later, acquired Mark Aguirre. They did have Adrian Dantley on that team. So that, to me, that wasn't a super team. I'm trying to. It was close. It was close to being a super team, but that wasn't a super team. It was a really, 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 really good team, but that wasn't a super team. Now, Jordan first three-peat was not a super team. Horace Grant, Bill Cartwright, Michael Jordan, Scottie Pippen, that was not a super team. Scottie Pippen didn't really come into his own until like 93. You know what I'm saying? Probably in the midst of that three-peat, but then they didn't have three perennial All-Stars on that squad on that first three-peat that Michael Jordan was on. Now that second three-peat, when they added Dennis Rodman, all-time great player, they Scottie Pippen and Michael Jordan was already on the team. They added Dennis Rodman. You could say that was a super team, but that was not a super team. And then when you want to say player generated, I know people don't realize this, or some of you young guys don't realize this, that Tim Duncan, Grant Hill, and Trace McGrady all tried to come to Orlando together. Now we later know the story why Tim Duncan didn't go there, because Doc Rivers would not allow his family to fly on the plane. So that's why he wasn't there. So that was trying to be generated. You know what I'm saying? So then Boston later added Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett with Paul Pierce in Boston. That was through trades, but it still was a super team. They still formed a super team, was able to win a finals and went to 2 straight finals. So no, LeBron James did not generate, or he did not start the super teams. I know they said player empowerment super teams. Did he generate that? You can say his came to fruition, because Orlando's did not come to fruition. So you could say, yeah, he started it for himself. Because look, when he lost to Boston in 2010 and he was a free agent the next year, I said LeBron James should not come back to Cleveland, because he's not going to win in Cleveland. He's not going to beat Boston. They had Rondo. Rondo was starting to come into his own. And like I said, they had Paul Pierce, Garnett, and Ray Allen. They had another couple years to where they were going to be really good. He knew that. So, yeah, he joined Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. It was supposed to have been Carmelo Anthony, because they had a talk in 2008 saying that they were going to, when it was at the U.S. trials, they were saying that they want to come together and they wanted to form a team together. But, yeah, and then, I know people say LeBron James showed player empowerment, but he did not. He indirectly showed them, because he was doing that for him. And I have no problem with LeBron James doing that for him. You got to look out for number one. Let me say this again. You have to look out for number one. He was looking out for number one. He knew that he wasn't getting the support in Cleveland. He wanted to go join Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh in Miami. I have no problem with that. None. But the free agency thing, Kurt Flood started that in baseball. Y'all need to go do y'all history, man. Like, stuff did not just start 10 years ago or 20 years ago or 30 years ago. Kurt Flood was advocating for free agency back in, the 60s, 70s, 60s? So, come on, man. Go do your history. No, LeBron James did not start the whole free agency, people finding out they can go to other teams. No, he didn't start that. What he started was he started the modern day players that can that say, hey, look, let's join together. You know what I'm saying? Get on the phone, or you know, we came up in this AAU together. Hey, let's play together someday. That's what he started. But I'm out, man.